The Azure Heights. The estate was a glass and marble fortress perched on a jagged cliff, illuminated by the cold, violet glow of the evening stars. This was the venue for the Red Diamond Gala, an event where the air smelled of salt spray and $1,000 bottle champagne. Soren, a hedge fund titan with a reputation for unhinged aggression, moved through the crowd in a bold red silk tuxedo. He was a man who measured his worth by the fear he could instill in others. His laughter a sharp, abrasive sound that cut through the soft jazz playing on the terrace. Standing near the edge of the massive infinity pool was Kaia. To the casual observer, she was just a guest in a stunning canary yellow evening gown. Her back turned to the noise of the party as she looked out at the Atlantic. She carried a deep navy silk clutch, and beneath the elegance of her dress, she moved with the poise of someone used to commanding rooms larger than this one. She was the wife of the CEO of Global Holdings, the firm that was currently reviewing Soren's multi-billion-dollar debt restructuring. She had come to the gala to see the man behind the numbers, and what she saw was a predator. Soren, his ego inflated by the presence of his peers and several glasses of scotch, spotted Kaia. He didn't recognize her, seeing only a quiet woman who wasn't paying the attention he felt he deserved. He stepped toward her, his bold red jacket a jarring contrast to the peaceful yellow of her gown. "You're blocking the view," Soren growled, his voice thick with unearned authority. He didn't wait for her to move. He reached out and grabbed Kaia's arm, his thumb pressing hard into her skin, and yanked her away from a railing. "Excuse me?" Kaia said, her voice a low, dangerous deep navy tone. She didn't flinch, but her eyes darkened with a cold, analytical fury. "I suggest you take your hand off me immediately." The rejection snapped something in Soren. He looked around at the witnesses in the scene, a group of investors in white dinner jackets and socialites in yellow silk wraps, and felt he had to assert himself. "You think you're special because you're wearing a pretty dress? You're in my house. You follow my rules." Without another word, Soren stepped forward and delivered a violent, two-handed shove directly into Kaia's chest. The force was intentional and overwhelming. Kaia's heels skidded on the wet marble, her arms windmilling for a fraction of a second before she tumbled backward. With a massive, echoing splash, she hit the ice-cold water of the infinity pool. The terrace went silent, save for the sound of water sloshing against marble. The witnesses in the scene stood frozen. A waiter in a white uniform dropped a tray of crystal flutes, the glass shattering like ice. A woman in a yellow wrap gasped, her hand flying to her throat as she watched Kaia surface, her yellow dress clinging to her, her hair matted against her face. Soren stood at the edge of the pool, laughing. "Consider that your exit from the elite, sweetheart. Maybe next time you'll learn to respect a billionaire." Kaia didn't splash or scream. She swam to the submerged steps, her movements methodical and calm. As she stood up, the canary yellow fabric of her dress trailing water behind her, she reached into her deep navy clutch, which she had somehow kept above water during the fall. She pulled out a specialized waterproof encrypted phone. "Soren," she said, her voice cutting through his laughter like a blade. "It's exactly 10:15 p.m. The liquidity window for your debt swap just closed." Soren's laughter died in his throat. "What are you talking about?" "I'm Kaia Vaughn," she said, stepping onto the dry marble, looking every bit like a vengeful goddess despite the dripping water. "And while you were busy asserting your power, I was deciding whether your empire was worth saving. It isn't. I just sent the signal to pull the plug. By the time you get back to your office, your accounts will be frozen, and your assets will be in the hands of receivers." The silence on the terrace was heavy, broken only by the steady drip, drip, drip of water from Kaia's canary yellow gown onto the pristine marble. Soren stood frozen, his bold red silk tuxedo looking absurd against cold, calculated fury radiating from the woman he had just assaulted. He tried to laugh, but the sound died in his throat as his phone, and the phones of every investor in the circle began to vibrate with frantic, synchronized alerts. "What is this?" Soren stammered, his fingers trembling as he swiped through his notifications. "The hedge fund, the offshore accounts. They're being flagged for immediate liquidation? That's impossible." "It's not just possible, Soren. It's done," Kaia said. She didn't look like a victim. She looked like a judge. She pulled a royal blue tablet from her deep navy clutch, the screen displaying a live feed of Soren's corporate stock plummeting into a black hole. You forgot that Global Holdings doesn't just review debt. We own it. And since you've demonstrated a complete lack of emotional stability and professional conduct in front of these witnesses, I've triggered the emergency exit clause. We are calling in every loan effective 30 seconds ago. The witnesses in the scene began to shift. The investors in white dinner jackets who had been laughing at Soren's jokes a moment ago now backed away from him as if he were radioactive. The woman in the yellow silk wrap held up her phone, her face illuminated by the glow of a viral video. "It's already online, Soren," she said, her voice filled with disgust. "The whole world just saw you shove a woman into a pool to satisfy your ego. Nobody is going to buy your debt now." The power shift was absolute. As Soren realized the magnitude of his downfall, the estate's massive digital display, usually used to show off his yacht collection, suddenly flickered and changed. It now showed a royal blue logo of Global Holdings with a scrolling list of assets being seized. His penthouses, his private jets, and the very estate they were standing on. "Get off my property," Soren screamed, though his voice lacked any real power. "I'm still the host. Security." But the security team, led by Jensen in a white uniform, didn't move toward Kaia. They moved toward Soren. "Actually, sir," Jensen said, his voice devoid of its former subservience, "we've just been notified that our contracts have been transferred to Ms. Vaughn's subsidiary. Your access to the house accounts has been frozen. You're the one trespassing." The witnesses in the scene erupted into a chorus of jeers. The billionaire who had played God for a decade was now being hemmed in by the very people he had stepped on. Soren fell to his knees on the wet marble, his bold red jacket soaked at the hem. He reached out with a desperate, shaking hand to grab the damp fabric of Kaia's yellow gown, his face a mask of pathetic begging. "Kaia, please. I was drunk. I was stressed. Don't take the firm. I'll apologize publicly. I'll donate to whatever charity you want." Kaia stepped back, her expression one of pure, cold revulsion. "You aren't apologizing because you're sorry, Soren. You're apologizing because you're poor, and I don't negotiate with bullies." Under the watchful eyes of the witnesses, Jensen and his team physically lifted Soren from the floor, grabbing him by the arms of his expensive red blazer. They didn't escort him to a limousine. They marched him toward the service entrance. As he was dragged away, Soren's shoes squeaked on the marble, a small, ridiculous sound that marked the end of his era. He was tossed out of his own gold-trimmed gates, landing on the gravel driveway just as the repo trucks began to arrive for his fleet of supercars. Kaia turned back to the remaining guests. She accepted a white towel from a waiter and wrapped it around her shoulders, her deep navy clutch still tucked securely under her arm. "The party is over," she said to the stunned crowd. "But the restructuring of the city's ethics has just begun." She walked toward the exit, her head held high. The water from the pool had ruined her dress, but it had washed away a tyrant.